Blasphemous 2 coming out the day before Armored Core, actually on the 24th, which means I get a day to try and finish it. I know you haven't played Blasphemous, but you've asked me about it kind of before in the past because I've gone on about it at length, I feel, at times. It being one of my favourite Metroidvanias. Do you think you would give Blasphemous 1 a try, seeing that Blasphemous 2 is coming out very, very soon?
So yeah, I mean, so as I mentioned when we were talking about Armored Core, I had all these games that I wanted to play, and that's one of them. So I was looking at, all right, I want to play the Resident Evil remakes, because obviously number 4's just come out. I haven't played Village, so I was thinking of playing Village, and then 1, 2, 3, and 4 remakes, because I've got 1, and then getting them all out of the way, and then going on to Blasphemous, and then obviously I've got Final Fantasy 7 remake to play as well. So I was like, okay, I'm lining all these games up in my head, and I'm thinking, all right, shall I actually start with Blasphemous, so then I can crack out Blasphemous 2 while it's still kind of fresh, then move on to Resident Evil and get them all done. Now, obviously, I'm realizing Armored Core's coming out on Friday. There's no point in me buying Blasphemous now. I'm going to just put it down when Armored Core comes out, so then I'm going to end up not playing it, like number 2 for ages. Do you know what I mean? So I might as well wait until I've finished Armored Core, then go on to Blasphemous 1, then go on to Blasphemous 2. Have you done the DLC for Blasphemous as well?
Yeah, I've done the DLC. I think that's one of the interesting things about Blasphemous. When it first initially came out and there wasn't any DLC and it had no spoilers, I'm not really going to go in depth into the story too much, but when it first came out, there were 2 endings. I guess you could consider them a good ending and a bad ending. But still, yeah, even so, one of the endings had a cliffhanger ending, I guess what you would call the true ending in the original release of the game. But then when they did the DLCs, there was another true ending, shall we say, which is where Blasphemous 2 follows on from. But I think with them being an indie studio, and I don't think they're a very big studio, I want to say maybe only 2 people, but there may be more now. I feel like you can see the growth between where they started to where they ended up with Wounds of Eventide, which was the second DLC.
The final DLC.
Yeah, which has the true ending. I think the lore in it is brilliant. That's the one thing I'd say to you, like, yeah, don't pick it up now if it's just going to be something you put down because you're more interested. The second you have like a block, because the thing is, the game, I think, if memory serves me correctly, maybe 12 to 16 hours to complete to get the true ending. So it's not necessarily massive compared to sort of like a Souls, like an Elden Ring, where you're going to put in 60 to 70 hours to get one playthrough. Yeah. I'm looking forward to Blasphemous 2 because it does obviously continue on from number 1, which is interesting because you kind of get the idea that there is some sort of finality in the ending until new events happen. So it's interesting to see where they go with that. It
follows on from the ending in the DLC, right?
Yes.
So it's like, if you haven't played the DLC, you wouldn't really know what's going on. I'm assuming they'll do like a recap at the beginning. Must do, right?
I believe so. You'd hope they would.
Yeah.
But yeah, following on from DLC, it would be good to maybe do a small recap. I've seen some gameplay that people have been putting out this week. I've seen some people playing on PS5, which upsets me because I've pre-ordered it and I don't get to play it until Thursday. But anyway,
on YouTube.
I know.
One day. Come on, guys, give us a like and subscribe so we can get review copies of games.
Yeah, it's not fair.
I also want to quit my job. I want to quit my job and play games.
Yeah, why some people got it that lucky? It's just not fair.
Isn't it? Come on, guys, help us out. Anyway, that's my only like and subscribe plug.
Yes. That's all right. We need to do some shameless self-promotion.
We can use the videos.
Yes.
But yeah, so what are you looking forward to most out of Blasphemous 2?
I think the thing I'm looking forward to most is the lore as well as the boss fights. Interested, they've added new weapons in this one, which kind of work with the traversal in the game. So you won't be able to unlock certain areas without certain weapons. And from what I've seen, you get a free choice of which weapon you want to start with. So I assume that means when you first go into the game, you have 3 different paths you could possibly go down, which I think it's interesting to see how other people on YouTube play through it and watching their playthroughs to see if they choose a different starting weapon. So I'm interested to see how that works out. But yeah, more than anything, the bosses. From what I've seen, they're kind of setting this up as this ascension, this climb, and in order to get there, you need to get through this arch confraternity, which is what they're calling them.
Yeah, are they not just other versions of you, or like similar to you? Because they're called penitent ones too, right?
Yeah. You kind of in the original. I mean, this doesn't really ruin the story. You have like different schools, or shall we say, religions or sects of religions and practices.
Like churches. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have different penitent ones. Obviously, like in the original, you had Chrysantha, who was her penance was that she couldn't see. So I don't know if anyone remembers her mask had hands over the eyes, so she was unable to see. That was her penance. Obviously, our penance is that we can't speak with the silent one.
She's not from the same order as you either, is she? She's not from the order of the Silent Sorrows.
No. She's a different one. She is from the same one as
Pope?
The guy you fight on the bridge, and Petrovia, his sister. I can't remember the name now. Name will flash up now. Ping. That person.
Well done, Future Costy, on editing that one
in. So they exist at that school, and I think it's their job to sort of like protect. They're protectors of the church of the Archbishop, I believe, at that moment in time. Or I don't know whether it's specifically the Archbishop or just the High Church and the High Wills.
Yeah, because then there's I think this one is these people are guarding the miracle, right?
Yes, the new miracle, I guess. That's always the thing. It's what
new miracle sounds like a metal band.
Yeah,
a metal album.
Miracle. Falling from the sky.
I mean, to be fair, it's Blasphemous is just metal in general, and it like everything about it, all the visuals are insane.
I'm just looking forward to see how crazy they do. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about the first game is. I can't remember if we discussed this in a previous video where we spoke about the backstories behind some of the bosses they have. Like they have one boss where it's the lady of the charred visage, and she was such a
visage. Good point.
Visage. She was so beautiful that sculptors would use her likeness when making sort of like statues. Making statues to depict the gods. And because of that kind of led to people, I guess, praising her in real life. But because she wasn't vain and she didn't want the praise or to take anything away from the gods, she ended up burning her face.
Yeah.
And then obviously the miracle blessed her by making it so that her face was constantly burning and she had to feel the pain.
That miracle, what a scamp.
Which is actually based upon a story, I believe, from
Spanish story. Right? Yeah. All of it's. I think a lot of the stories are based on from Seville, right?
Yes.
Which was the church capital of Spain. It's where the Spanish Inquisition actually began, and a lot of the stories around the martyrs, the saints, the miracles that have occurred are actually from their lore, like their legends within that town, of how gruesome and horrible like the religion is. It's fucking mental, man. It's crazy. I mean, everything about it is mad. I love the visuals. I have looked at some of the lore. I can't help looking into lore. It's my thing. Even if I haven't played a game, if the lore's interesting, I'm going to try and find out everything about it. So no, I've read up about what's happened and like how each of the bosses. I mean, one of the bosses is a baby with a blindfold on.
Yes, that is a messed up baby.
The reason he has the blindfold on is because his mum was getting burnt at the stake, and he asked to not see it as his penitence, is to not have to endure it or something like that. So the miracle took away his eyes, but then also created a statue in the image of his mother, which would then raise him. Absolutely fucking mental. Like you can't. This stuff's crazy, man. But I think from all I've seen, I mean, I watched that video you shared with me of the extended gameplay footage from the beginning of the game. I like the fact that they've introduced different weapons. I think that's always a good call within a Metroidvania. When you have just one weapon, it does feel slightly limited in the form of, I know you can do like prayers and stuff like that, but the combat can only go so far. I like the fact they've introduced these free weapons. I like the fact that you can switch between them later on in the game when you've got the other weapons in hand. And I love the fact that each of those weapons kind of corresponds to a different way of traversing the map and how you interact with the world. I think it's a good spin on how Metroidvanias work, because you have, like you said, you've given that choice at the beginning between three distinct weapons, three distinct ways of traversing, meaning that from the off, you can go one of three ways. So it would be pointless if they introduced that choice in the beginning and then you walk off and then the first, like, say, 2 hours of the game until you get the other weapons, there's none of those choices there. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't get the whip that creates a platform, you don't get something like a floor you can smash through until you get to all three weapons, because then you're just kind of wasting the potential of finding something and going, fuck, if I had this hammer, I could get through here. If I had the whip, I could go here. And I like that. I love that it's leaving it down to the player choice and how the player kind of guides themselves through the game instead of the developers guiding them.
It's great that they've added that choice into the game. And like I say, it's natural progression in many ways. Like the mea culpa in the first game was heavily centered in the lore of the game. Whereas now that ceases to exist, I think it makes sense that they would expand from what they have, and now you have these three
more
weapons.
Player choice, a bit more freedom and stuff.
Yeah, and like I said, it's going to be very interesting to see how different people's play through just because of the choice they make. I can say now I'm more than likely going to be choosing the you've got three. You've got the rapier, which is a rapier and a dagger. You've got the flail
Big
bell.
heavy bastard.
Yeah, which is a heavy bastard. The flail bell. I like that.
Flail bell.
And then you've got, like, I guess what would be a mix between two, like a medium sword, which I guess would be very reminiscent of the mea culpa. It looks a bit different, but I'm obviously going to be going with that because I think that kind of looks like the standardized one to go with. As time goes on, you'll probably see if there's any secret endings and different ways of playing it through. Perhaps starting with different weapons will give you different aspects of the story. We'll see. I'm just really interested to see the lore, the bosses, and how they've grown, because I think the growth just from the first game, from where they originally released it to the DLC, showed massive growth in their ability to just make a game that is so drenched in lore.
I know what you mean, and it's a beautiful game too. It's not even like they've half-assed it. It's actually really beautiful. Like, the environments are amazing. You can tell they put a lot of care into the designs, as well as having such an engrossing lore. And it's so, I think the lore is, you can really pick through it. It's very Souls-like, it's there, but it's also very scattered. And if you want to look further into it, you have to look through item inventories. I think that's wicked, and I love that form of storytelling. So I think what I will do is, like I said, I'll play Blasphemous 1. We'll do Blasphemous 2. I know you'll have completed it way before me, but then we'll come back and do a video and we can discuss, opinions on 2 and 1 fully, do like a nice big deep dive.
Yeah, definitely. I'm hoping they do they have DLC for this like they had on the first one. So you never know. By the time you get around to it, maybe it'll be in line with them releasing a new DLC.
Yeah, I mean, if nothing surprising comes up in the interim time, if Elden Ring don't drop a fucking DLC,
oh fucking hell, yes.
Otherwise, I'm not playing anything else.
Yeah, done.
But,
Elden Ring.
That's it. No, it's over. But so that's our thoughts on Blasphemous as it is now. Just with the things we've seen, from what we know. Let us know in the comments what you think. Blasphemous, have you played number 1? Are you going to pick up number 1 before we play number 2? Is it not really your thing? Do you think it's a bit too gross? Just let us know how you're feeling. How did you play it through? And also, once you have played it, let us know what your experience was like, and we can all kind of share in the comments and kind of grow together in our world of Blasphemous playing. But that's about it for this video, and that's me signing out as Guilty Grey and my esteemed colleague King Kofsty.
Blasphemous? I hardly know her.
I didn't think it would work twice, but it works twice.
That's stupid. I was trying to think of a way, because it's Blasphemous too. I was like, is there a way I can somehow make a pun that feeds into look who's talking now, and look who's talking to
Blasphemous 2. Look who's blaspheming now.
that was it. Okay.
I think that'll work. Yeah, let's do that. Let's write to the developers. So that was Look Who's Talking 3, right? So Look Who's Talking 2 was Look Who's Talking TOO.
Yeah.
So it'd be Look Who's Blaspheming 2. There you go.
Yes.
And then it's Look Who's Blaspheming now for the final one.